obviously don't go and do that, please.
Hey, you do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't. Live!
It's live!
And we're clear on the floor.
All right, hey, that was fun.
You're a
Yeah. Hi, she knew my nickname.
Oh, I thought we
Feel
would
it?
just silently, like, motion excitement.
Can you feel it?
Yeah. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Richmond Way. This is a special kind of bonus mini live episode. With me today is Mr. Chris Plastic from Shiny Plastic Toys.
Close. Good enough.
People,
Yes.
I'm looking right at it, and I was reading your handle and your name, and I merged them together.
It works. It works.
There you go. And then returning to the show is Captain Jack Heartless, aka Big Trouble in Little Kansas. Welcome back, Jack. I'm a
Nice to
poet,
be
and I
here.
didn't realize it. So you may, if you looked at the thumbnail, you may know why we're doing this episode. There was a little bit of news that came out today that was the official, because we've all kind of like known for a little bit that, or there's been rumors that there was a season 4 or something around the corner coming from Ted Lasso. Title of your, I don't know, never mind. Anyways, so happy Pie Day too, because it's also Happy Pie Day, so make sure you eat pie today. Yeah, so anyways, season 4 is going to be coming. We don't know when currently. We know, so you know what, I will let the Kelsey brothers do what they did to get this information from Mr. Jason Sudeikis.
Ted Lasso fans, man, thank you, because that is gold.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there season 4? Is it in the works?
Are we allowed
I don't
to
know
say
what
that?
I'm allowed to ask.
I think you can ask it. Yeah, that's what we're writing. We're writing season 4 now. Yeah, that's the official word. Yeah, Ted's coaching. Yeah, they're a women's team. So there,
That's happening. Women's team.
Yeah,
Is he coming back to the States, or?
yeah. That's too many questions, but
Yeah, all right. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
and it's only because I don't know.
So good.
Yes. So they did a longer episode, so if people want to watch like the longer episode and interview with him, they can find that on that channel. But and then like after that kind of got released today, we also got the obligatory posting from the Apple TV Instagram with basically the standard stadium seats with the number 4 on it. So thoughts, Chris, Jack, when you first saw this?
I was excited, even though, like you said, it's not a surprise. I mean, we've already had actors talking about how they can't come back.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then I saw like some people have got confused because Tohib Jima just got cast in a season 4 of a different show. So people read that quickly and were like, "Oh, Tohib Jima got cast in season 4 of not Ted Lasso, but he's in a different show." So I mean, that's so cool that they get cast. But yeah, how about you, Jack? What did you think when you saw the?
As your louder alter ego / anger translator, I'm gonna take this moment to go, yeah, because holy shit, that was my honest to God reaction. I know that I've been a little bit of a cynic. Blame that on working in the entertainment industry and 11 years living in Los Angeles, to where I was like, yeah, I'll believe that shit when it happens. But gentlemen, it has happened. fantastic
like,
news.
a little bit
and
of go ahead.
Oh no, and I was about to say, I feel like it was a very calculated move because Jason's pals with the Kelseys,
Yeah.
and especially works a lot with Travis doing the charity stuff that he does at Kansas City. And they go into that. I actually did, to get ready for this episode, listen/watch the entire episode today of the
It's a good
podcast. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
thought-
it was enjoyable. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. A lot of SNL 50 stuff in there. And as a big
Oh,
SNL nerd, loved that part of it too. But I feel like he was like, hey, this is a really safe place for me to kind of get into this and shoot the shit and be just like casually, oh yeah, it's happening. And Ted's coaching the women's team. La la la.
Yeah, which that feels like that's the biggest news from it, because a lot of people, or I mean, I know that anytime people had asked me like what I thought was going to be happening with it, that like I know I said at least to you, Jack, was that like I thought maybe a quote unquote season 4 wouldn't technically be a season 4, but like maybe it would be a continuation within the universe, and they would just use like the font and name it maybe something like the Richmond Way, and then that would really help the SEO of this podcast and channel.
Right.
Just give it a boost.
Yeah. And to that point, I was firmly of the belief that look at Mama V putting feelers out in the universe for Ray and Keeley still.
Right.
Yeah. Sweet, a little misguided, but very sweet. I honestly thought that Jason was going to either be super burned out or have a huge schedule or both, and that quite honestly he would contribute to some writing, maybe directing an episode, doing some EP type of stuff, because that's where the money is in television. But I thought that the focus was very much going to be on the ladies. So having him, actively involved in that mix again is very much a welcome surprise. I did not foresee, even if it did come back, I tended to agree mostly with what you had put out there previously as far as where the show would go, the subtle rename, all that stuff like that. So for it just to be like Ted Lasso, and this is season 4, y'all, we're moving forward is a hell of a wonderful surprise.
I mean, we really could have focused on Roy, and I know Brett is over on Shrinking too, and really that's his baby. But he's here, he's there, he's every
fucking where.
Yeah. You can swear. Yeah.
Speaking of,
also no spoilers for Jack, because he's only in season 1 of Shrinking right now.
No.
Oh, okay.
I just finished season 2, episode 4 of Shrinking before we got on here. I am blowing through that like Kleenex in cold season. I love it.
And for people that haven't watched it yet, we would highly recommend that. Brett Goldstein is amazing in season 2 of.
No spoil.
Yeah, his
no
character
spoilers.
is very, very, very different from Roy. Just so you know.
I am so glad. As we go off on a quick tangent, I am so glad that I had no spoilers on what his role in Shrinking was going to be, because I was absolutely blown away. I was like, literally, Red is my partner, and she watches with me. Loves Ted Lasso, and we finally got around to Shrinking, and when he appears, when he does, and they do that reveal, we were just screaming, no, why? It was just
and we'll leave it at that for people to watch Shrinking. You'll have to find out why we're reacting that way.
Exactly.
So some of the news that we have from it is that, so basically after years of speculation, finally got like legitimate official confirmation about season 4. Jason Sudeikis technically is like the only one confirmed to be returning for the show, and then like you said, as an executive producer. We do know that Hannah Waddingham, Jeremy Swift, and Brett Goldstein all got optioned to come back within the past few months or so. Remember that? So that was like the first kind of inkling. People were like, "Oh, something is happening. And those three got announced at the same time just because they're all represented by the same agency, so that's probably why that happened that way. Then Brett Goldstein and Brendan Hunt are also coming back behind the scenes, ensuring the same kind of, tone and whatnot. But we also, so some of the things too is that what's next for AFC Richmond? Season 3 ended with Ted returning to Kansas. Roy, spoilers, I guess, if you haven't watched end of season 3 yet. But if you are, I don't know why you're watching a season. I was gonna say I don't know why you're watching a season 4 announcement video if you haven't watched season 3 yet. But season 3 ended with Ted returning to Kansas. Roy is the new AFC Richmond manager, and a pitch for the women's team from Keeley to Rebecca. And then we also Sudeikis teased a theme of leaping before looking in season 4. So not kind of sure what that means for season 4. And then the show's expansion into women's football kind of makes sense too, just because of, in a way, our imitating life with like Jason Sudeikis is very, very into women's sports. I don't remember what the name of the company is, but like he actually wearing the hoodies or t-shirts all the time that says everyone watches women's sports. He's like a huge women's basketball fan. Just like I think he's like best friends with Caitlin Clark now too. So, but just picturing like that, it kind of makes sense for like Ted to now be coaching the women's team on the show, which is also kind of funny if people go back to the original NBC sports shorts. Those end with Ted coaching a little girls' soccer team.
And Jason Sudeikis is currently coaching his daughter in her sports and talking about that some on the show. So I think you'll see some of that lead over. At least I hope so. This really got the imagination going, and I don't want to use a pro wrestling term, I don't want to fantasy book this too much. But I feel like everybody's got some wish list stuff for what they want to see.
Well, I'm trying to remember the character's name, but it's not coming to me right now. But she's the character that Ted has played like the little pickup soccer with, like walking through the.
Oh, she's got to be on that team.
Like
absolutely.
I feel like she has to be like the main kind of character of that, or like at least have a running storyline through that, so that can be like a kind of cool thing if you go back and watch from season 1 up to Lasso 3 to that. It's like a nice slow build of that character. So I'm hoping that that's a thing. Some of the things that I've seen though too is that Ted will be in Kansas still, and that's where he's coaching the women's soccer team, but that will also still be following AFC Richmond too. So I don't know if it's going to be like a insert Loki gif here, bit of both, where it's like we're seeing Ted in the States doing his thing there, and maybe how that coalesces or is themed to whatever like Roy and Beard and Rebecca are doing over in Richmond, and like maybe how those things intersect. Maybe there's like a story that somehow, I don't know. I'm now I feel like I'm like fantasy writing stuff, but like where like those teams have to like play each other at some point. I know that like like with Wrexham, like the real team like Wrexham, like they'll come to the States to do like random kind of like exhibition, yeah, like where they played like Manchester United or like Chelsea like over here in the US, the same way that the NFL does like the international games in like the UK or Spain or wherever else it may be. So maybe they'll write some kind of story like that into the season where it's like AFC Richmond coming over here. So then it's like this whole thing where like, oh, Ted was the fish out of water over there, but now the entire team is over here, and now they're all the man at a time kind of.
Man, I don't know, because the show isn't like Game of Thrones to where you can do a split season across the map, as vast as it is. So I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that would work. I feel like, if I'm being honest, TV's the way it is. People want what people want. And everything's on fire. I think you'll get all of about an episode and a half before Rebecca picks up the phone and goes, right, blank check. We need
Yeah.
you.
She buys like the American team that he's coaching, and then just transports the entire team to the UK. I feel like if that happens, so there has to be a time jump so that Henry is old enough to the point where, like, that's like the entire reason that Ted went back to Kansas, was so that he could spend time with Henry. So like, I don't, and like she already made that offer in the season 3 finale, but like you can have Michelle come over here, she can teach over here, and Henry can come over, get the best classes and whatnot in the UK. And he was like, nah. So I feel like if they are going to do something like that, there has to be some kind of time jump so that Henry's like,
I think Henry's the one that pushes him to do it.
that could work too.
I think there's
if not
no
a time
way
jump.
he goes back without Henry.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially the way
Saying
that
that.
ended. It's all
Yes.
about family for Ted.
Yep.
Yeah. And then so the other things here too is that since they did pick up the contracts, at least for Jeremy Swift, Brett Goldstein, and Hannah Waddingham, we know that in some capacity, or hopefully in some cast. I mean, I don't see them doing the show without Rebecca or Roy or Higgins so it seems like right now, like some of the people that we may not see just because of, as far as availability, they're going to be like Tahib Jamaa, because he's currently cast on another show. Phil Dunster's cast on another show right now. So that's at least Sam and Jamie. That
Well, and Phil has gone as far as saying in interviews that he isn't available, period.
Yeah. And
So-
it almost kind of
Damn.
feels like Jamie arced out in a way too. So we'll see.
Now,
I mean,
that's not to say, again, to reference pro wrestling, that they're dropping a fake story to the rags there.
Kayfabe, brother. Kayfabe.
maybe he's not the werewolf. Maybe that's it. It's just like Andrew Garfield.
I hope at the very least we do see, because I'm gonna miss my dose of handsome Squidward. I gotta be honest. I do hope that we kind of see little, news stories playing in the background on BBC Two. Of yes, I hope we see news stories on BBC Two where if he's off playing in La Liga, where he's like the man of the match, the man of the month, any kind of stuff like that. So he's still kind of like in universe, as it were.
It's kind of too bad they already blew the reality TV show bit with him, because that would be a perfect background bit for Jamie. But now we have mature Jamie. He's less likely to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's hosting a reality show now because he's mature Jamie. I don't know.
Or him and Roy are doing The Amazing Race.
There you go.
Oh dear
Well,
God!
Don't say that, because now I want to see that. And there's a bike riding challenge.
Oh, that only ends one way, and I'm gonna make a callback to Shrinking without a spoiler. The only way that ends is boop. Like one or the other.
Boop. Yeah. Also with the season 2, like, how would Beard's marriage and fatherhood possibly change his dynamic on the show and with the team? And would he take on like a larger mentorship role, or like step back maybe from coaching, maybe? Which I don't think that he would, depending on relatively like what amount of time is supposed to take place over like that montage at the end of season 3, which wasn't a dream, according to Brendan Hunt's AMA that he did the day after the season 3 finale.
Good, thank you.
It's just very sketchy CG of Stonehenge is why it looked like that, not because it was a dream. And then so people that are joining for the season, as far as like behind the scenes, are producer Jack Burdett, who did Modern Family and 30 Rock, which Jason Sudeikis had like a recurring role on 30 Rock as Lemon's boyfriend on that for a while. So it could be interesting to see maybe like how maybe that affects like the tone or like storyline of the show. And then if they're doing this women's team, that means we're gonna have to cast this whole like team and new characters for that. I don't know if we're losing a bunch of or at least a few of like the AFC Richmond men's team. It'll be interesting to see kind of what like these new characters are that kind of like take up those mantles on that team too. And it'll be interesting to kind of see like the dynamics of that too, and like how, you know, that kind of flips maybe like some of like the formula of maybe some of the things that we're used to from the first 3 seasons, or as the Blu-ray is called for that story arc, and as this podcast is called, the Richmond Way. And then so the legacy of Ted Lasso. So Ted Lasso started as a underdog story. So want to see how that kind of continues into season 4. And then like the way the show has impacted real world like football culture and mental health awareness, to hopefully that kind of, you know, continues along with like, because that's been like the thing that I've picked up the most on, or like that I've connected to the most with the show, is the whole mental health aspect that really gets focused on throughout the series. So I'm hoping that they continue doing that into this season 4, especially because they show Roy finally going to therapy at the end of season 3. So hopefully that's going well for him, and we'll get like some more with that with him and Dr. Sharon. But then like, is there any thing that you, as far as like dream kind of storylines, maybe character or like kind of characters that you might want to show up? I feel like at this point, because Sudeikis is friends with real life soccer player Messi, that he'll probably show up at some point too, and because Apple has a whole MLS like thing, and they did a big push,
huge tie-in
and push with Messi for that too, that will probably like be like, hey, we already paid you this much, come over to do this show too.
Well, and any athlete who's paired up with Beats is getting that Apple money because Apple owns Beats. So
yeah, it's true. Is there anything you guys like, you specifically think that you'd like to see?
Well, I mentioned it briefly before we went live. You know, Ted is no longer the like, look at this idiot American coaching football. So now there's expectation for Ted that he didn't have for the first, 3 seasons of the show. So I'm excited to see Ted have to deal with that in this new women's, football club.
Yeah.
The ghost is killing me in the comments. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that'll be good for the show too, and like see how the dynamics of that play around with, because I feel like that'll allow Keely and Rebecca to have new storylines from like new vantage points there too, especially if Rebecca now owns a women's football team, and like Keely being like kind of the one to bring the idea to her. And just, I feel like that'll definitely, and then maybe, I'm assuming that Keely still has her PR firm going too. So we'll have to see how that goes.
It could be the kid sponsor. Why not?
There you go. And so get rid of banter, and it's the, what is it? What was it? KB PR?
Well, banter can still be on Richmond, but the ladies are going to want their own kid sponsor.
Yeah, well, because you get different sponsors too. You get the shoulder,
sure,
like the sleeve. You get and those are different levels. It's like different levels of money you're putting into that. So yeah, but yeah. How about you, Jack? What do you?
So as far as season 4 is concerned and beyond, and the reason I say that is because all I've been able to think about is one of my favorite Beastie Boys lyrics is, "It takes a second to wreck it. It takes time to build." And I think that within this whole thing, at the end of the day, the challenge of building something completely brand new is too great for Ted to pass on. So I do think he coaches that team. Now, I also think he goes to Beard for advice, and there is going to be a come to Jesus moment when Beard's like, dude, you've been gone for X amount of time. I still have my Richmond job. I have a wife. I have a kid. I can't just be teaching you about football all the time. You've got to fucking figure it out. So, what I think that means is I think that there's going to be a space for a new, incredibly intelligent assistant coach to kind of, fill that void, whether partially or fully, who knows. I do think that's going to be a lady. So where that goes from there, anyone's guess. I absolutely think the under the radar signing is going to be that kid we watched grow for 3 seasons. That is just 100% like the lead pipe cinch, Jimmy the Greek style. Like that's gotta happen, right? It's also going to be interesting because I know much more from the last few years about the ins and outs of high level British football and by extension the way European football is set up. I don't know that much about it, admittedly, for the ladies. So if the levels are the same, or if it's more of a barnstorming thing, or how that goes, and I would imagine there's going to be plenty of room to educate people about that too.
Yeah.
It
It is very similar. I know partially some of this from watching the Welcome to Wrexham docu-series, because they, in season 3 of that, they started following the Wrexham women's team as well, who is doing just as amazing as the men's team too. Like they're actually doing better. So women's soccer is amazing. But like what sucks too is that like, and I'm hoping that they kind of touch on this too, is that like they're like in this like kind of like shitty stadium when they're playing just as well, or if not better, than the men's team. And it's like, why do they have to be like in a shitty podunk stadium when the men get like the huge like amazing stadium that could be like a cool like a gender like dichotomy thing that that's a good storyline for.
It's a great storyline, and that's actually where I was headed next. You read my mind. Is that I think it's one of those deals where they're going to use this to highlight the incredible disparity in pay for women's sports. And I've had a lifetime's worth of people saying, oh, well, it's because they don't generate enough revenue, so they get paid commensurate to their revenue. And I'm literally just like, fuck yourself with a cactus, dude. It's just...
Well, and what a major storyline also just here in the U.S. with our national teams. Because the women were a big push for that, because the women's national team in America is way better than the men's.
Yeah. 100%. And they've had to fight just to even get a percentage of what the men get. The men get to like the round of 16 and they throw them a parade. The women win 2 or 3 World Cups, 4 gold medals at the Olympics, just insane stuff. And what does Megan Rapinoe get for it? Death threats. Yay.
Once I learned that horses weren't really part of it, I lost interest in the patriarchy.
True.
Good callback.
Yeah.
True. So I by the way, that's another lead pipe cinch for a guest star. Megan Rapinoe will almost certainly
I feel like
be in an episode
would be in it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's playing a different sport, but I feel like Sudeikis would find a way to weave that in to the show.
Yeah, I think so. Who's to say they don't need a little inspiration at some point? And then the most visible name in women's sports today shows up to fire them up. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that can go on this.
I mean, it could be as simple as at the beginning of the season, Ted gets the call from the stands of the Indiana Fever.
That'd be dope.
Yep.
Oh, before we wrap out too, that was the last thing that you had said before we went on, Chris, was the thing about that now it's I was gonna say Sudeikis. Well, in a way, life and art are kind of coalesce there too. It's like when Ted Lasso came out, no one really expected anything from the show. Even them, they didn't expect it to be like the monolith that it is now. Is that Ted also people like thought he was a joke in season 1. That was partially why Rebecca hired him to, tank the team. But now that he was able to bring the AFC Richmond men's team to basically just to the tier and almost win the Premier League, but they got enough points that they still got promoted anyways, was now if he does come back, like you were saying, he's going to have like all this kind of built-in expectations on him to like what he's going to have to do with this woman.
Right, and the show has that same situation.
Yeah,
pressure. Its season's going to be very much about pressure.
I know it'll
still
have to be dealing with like his panic attacks.
Yes,
he'll probably come back to. So
even
though he's like in a good place at the end of season 3, I can because mental health isn't like a linear thing. Like it's like if anyone's watched The Good Place, mental health was more like Jeremy Bearimy. That's what it's like.
And we're in the eye.
Yeah,
the dot of the eye.
And what would Donnie Lasso have to say about a women's team?
She's the dot of the eye.
That's true. But what would she have to say about her son potentially going back to England and coaching a women's team? I'm sure she would have thoughts on that.
I don't know.
I just hope we don't have to have Led Tasso step in at any time.
Yeah, that could be problematic without Led Tasso.
Blacked out there.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so many things that can happen, and I think we're gonna have to leave it at that. Just for otherwise, there's so many things that we could think of in our own fan fiction of season 4 right now.
Join us Saturday afternoon as we haven't stopped streaming because we're still fan writing the episode.
Do this.
Just I'm literally like Charlie with the red string behind me by that point.
I mean, he's in an episode of Welcome to Wrexham because it
all goes back to Pepe Sylvia. Pepe Sylvia is the big bad of season 4 of Ted Lasso.
Or Pepe Sylvia.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
If people want to find you online, Chris, where can they find you?
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, I assume you are, at SPP Toys, it's on the screen under my name. That's where you can find me here on YouTube, Instagram, X, which is gross, Blue Sky. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, don't go to X. Just go to Blue Sky.
You're right.
And actually, don't even call it X. Just call it. If you're gonna call it anything, call it Twitter still.
Right.
It'll probably be Twitter again soon enough if certain stocks keep going the same way that they're going to. Anyways, how about you, Jack? Where can people find you online?
I deleted my Twitter because I fucking hate Nazis.
Good. It's unfortunately football season, and that's where I get my news.
Yep. Follow me on Blue Sky. I mean, I'm still in a semi-retired state from performing, but that's hopefully not going to last for too much longer. As I've settled into my post-Los Angeles life. captjackheartless.bsky.social. You can also follow me at Captain Jack Heartless, no spaces, on Instagram. I have a cute fucking dog and two cats, which are pretty adorable. I post a lot about them lately, but I'll get back to it before too long.
I'll have cool geeky names.
Yes. My dog is named Mr. Frodo. My the older of the two cats is named Tony Perkins. That's Purrkins. Because we're Hitchcock fans. And then
We love a pun.
the little boy is named Sir Elton Percules John, and he is in the midst of kicking FIP's ass right now. So yeah, things are good. Things are good. But mostly it's it's about my pets and my sneaker collection. So, which, like, by the way, Jason, I heard you like to give away your sneaker collection because it's overflowing. Hit up your boy. I wear a 10.5, and I'm also into Nikes too. So we're gonna have to get back to Nike Watch when season 4 hits.
this is a good place to plug our friend Eliza, who does Kicks of Lasso.
I love that account.
Where she's done an illustration of every single shoe that Ted has worn on the show.
Nice. So her account is so dope.
Yeah, she does an amazing job with that stuff. And then for us, well, even though she's not here, I'll still plug her website anyways. Bonnie, friend to all, is her website is vosuperhero.com. That's V as in voice over, not B as in body. I fucked it up. That's VO as in voiceover, not BO as in body odor. There you go. Anyways, I'm not going to try to steal her jokes from now on. So there you go. Go to voiceoversuperhero.com to follow Bonnie's stuff. And then for this show, we're at richmondwaypod.com, and it's Richmond Way Pod, basically all the places that you would look that up at: Blue Sky, Instagram, those places. So that's going to do it for this special episode with us talking about season 4. We'll have a new episode of the rewatch out soon.
Hey, what's coming up on the Patreon?
Things. You can, speaking of Bonnie, there's clown jokes on there that are inappropriate for children. There's debates about Man of Steel with Kenny and
Don't we have a movie review coming up on there, Mark?
Oh yeah, we have some movie reviews that we're going to be doing further soon, like that are Ted Lasso adjacent, or like you think about it for a second and be like, oh, okay, I see why that's part of the Patreon. It's like partially tangentially connected. Maybe After Hours by Martin Scorsese.
Oh, there's no maybe. I'm on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's tell the people. We've been talking about this for like 4 months. Let's get cracking.
That'll be my first time watching it too.
I can't wait, because that might be my favorite Scorsese movie, which is a big statement.
And we just recorded our Beard After Hours episode recently.
My favorite episode.
Which that'll be out soon, but I don't have a date for that yet. Because the next episode that'll be out is going to be the 206 rewatch episode. So we're a little bit of ways from Beard After Hours being out, but that was a fun episode too. But yeah, we thank everybody for joining us, and can't wait to head back to Richmond. And I guess this is no longer just a rewatch podcast, because once season 4 comes out, it'll be
a watch podcast.
Podcast.
Watch along.
Anymore. Yeah, watch along. All right, but thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you again next time on the Richmond Way.
Protect trans kids.
Believe.
And now we're awkwardly sit here as the stream ends.
So until next time, folks, be curious, not judgmental, and keep rewatching. This is Ted Lasso signing off. As the man once said, the harder you work, the luckier you get.